I almost always have to start with the autobiography of Malcolm X.
100%.
And in the United States, but around the world, for generations, it was Brother Malcolm that introduced Islam to so many people, particularly African Americans. And so I'm 44. I was just 15 when I first read the autobiography of Malcolm X. And one of my good friends, Calvin, and we read that book together at the time. And we loved Brother Malcolm so much that we were thinking, like, let's become Muslims. What we really wanted to be was we wanted to be like Brother Malcolm. And so this is in 1997. We started getting permission from our school to leave school to go to Jumu'ah prayer on Fridays. But we were so immature that we really just wanted to get out of school on Friday.
Brother, we've been using that excuse our whole lives, brother. I missed many a class for Jummahs in the past.
Yes.
My father's here. I shouldn't have said that stuff.
So we
found out.
This is in Kentucky in 1997, and we went to a masjid called Masjid Bilal in Lexington, Kentucky. And so the seeds of where I am now, they were planted a long time ago. And you know, I told you just a few minutes ago, people often say, like, well, Shaun, how did you come to this decision? For me, more than anything else, it was just the consistent presence of Muslim friends in my life that really caused me to be inquisitive about Islam. It caused me to just say, how are they like that? And two of my best friends, not two of my best Muslim friends, two of my best friends in the world are Sheikh Omar Suleiman, who helped lead me with the Shahada, and Sister Linda Sarsour, who is an activist in the United States. And so both of them, for the past 10 years, they have been two of the most consistent, reliable human beings in my universe. And every moment I've had with them over the past 10 years has mattered to me. And so I decided even a few months before I took Shahada that this is what I wanted to do. And so I started speaking to Sheikh Omar and others just to see what this would look like for me. And when I traveled to Edmonton, some brothers in Edmonton gave me copies of the Clear Qur'an.
Wow.
And let me tell you what happened. A few months before that, I told my wife, this is in early November, I told my wife that I wanted to become a Muslim. And I'm not shaming my wife at all. She would say this publicly. I have nothing but wonderful things to tell you about her now. When I told my wife that I wanted to become a Muslim, my wife, who had been a devout Christian her whole life, she told me, Shaun, I will never become a Muslim. And it hurt me a bit because not her words, but it made me think, if I become a Muslim, it might drive a wedge in my marriage. I'm 44. I've been with this woman since I was 15 years old. So I didn't want to do anything to jeopardize my marriage. A few weeks later, when I traveled to Edmonton, I shared with some men, including a local imam there in Edmonton, that I didn't know how to approach this with my wife. And the brother told me something that was so profound. He said, Shaun, do not try to convince your wife to do this. He said, it's more likely that you will mess it up than anything else. He said, but I do want you to trust that Allah will guide her heart. When I got home from Edmonton, this is in early January, just not that long ago, I laid both of those copies of the Quran on my dresser, not because I was like low-key wanting my wife to find them. I just didn't want them to get bent up in my suitcase. And I was so exhausted from traveling that I went to bed like at 8 p.m. When I woke up almost 12 hours later, my wife had grabbed one of those copies. She's a professor, a doctor.
Yes.
She had already, through the night, she had already read almost half of the Quran.
Subhanallah.
And when I woke up, my wife said to me something that was so shocking. She said, Shaun, I think we should become Muslims.
Wow. MashaAllah.
It was...
Round of applause. Go ahead. Bismillah.
It would be as shocking as you telling me in a few hours, Shaun, I think I'm going to become a Christian. When I heard my wife say it, it sounds funny, but my first thought was, who is this woman and where is my wife? Who are you?
Who is this imposter in my bedroom?
Who is this person in my bed that looks like my wife and sounds like my wife, but now says she wants to become a Muslim? And there's a powerful lesson there. Like most Americans, most of what my wife knew about Islam, she learned from places that you don't want to learn about Islam. If what you know about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, you learned from the news, if you learned it from movies, if you learned it from social media, it will be misinformation. And my wife, who's an intellectual, a voracious reader, the first thing she said to me was, Shaun, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he is not who I thought he was.
Wow.
And she was just moved by his life and his example. And she thought that to become Muslim, it meant you no longer had any reverence for Jesus. And I think most Christians think that.
Yes.
And it was actually quite the opposite. And when she saw that to be a Muslim still meant to have nothing but reverence and love for the Prophet Jesus, it changed her. And for the next 6 weeks, she and I were on a really beautiful private journey that we didn't talk about publicly, of just saying, what would it look like for us to make this big move in our lives? And so 3 weeks ago today, the Sunday before Ramadan, we took our Shahada, and it's been beautiful, man.
Give a round of applause, man. That actually is so beautiful, subhanAllah. I can tell you that you had thousands, if not millions of people making dua for you and your wife.
Yeah.
Wallahi, I was one of them, subhanAllah. We were making dua that Allah would guide you, because as Muslims, the best thing we can ask for someone is hidayah.